Daylight breaks over the ridge. The hounds strike. No crowds, no cameras, just a track and the hounds that bring the story to life. That's what this show's about. Dogs, dirt roads, early mornings, and the people who live it. This is Creekside Chronicles. Hounds, hunting, and heritage. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, houndsman, hunter, and a lifelong student of the outdoors. Here, we chase more than game. We chase knowledge about hounds, hunting, and living the outdoor life the right way. From bear country to back roads, this is where the hunt meets heart, and every story runs a different trail. So pull up your chair by the creek, leash up your best hound, and let's get after it together. Performance starts in the feed. Inukshuk's high-fat content fuels long runs and hard hunts, giving dogs the steady energy they need, while quality protein supports faster recovery after the work is done. That's why I trust Inukshuk dog food. Packed with energy and nutrition dogs need to go further, run harder, and recover stronger. If you want extreme performance, you can look them up at Inukshuk Professional Dog Food or Corey.ca. Welcome to 2026. New year. We got a new name. I want to go over a little bit with you guys, kind of give you the background, and man, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up. This season, I hope everybody had a great season, but with all the success we had, still some frustration there. Things to work on. So now we get to start putting all that work into practice. So, all right, we changed the name to Creekside Chronicles. Why Creekside? So when I started my hound hunting adventure back in 1994, kind of shows you my age, right? I bought 2 plot dogs off a guy from White Sulphur, West Virginia, and they had papers with them. One of them did. I didn't know anything about papers. So I went to fill them out to send them off, and everybody that sent off papers know that you got to fill out whatever. So all the guys that hunted local had names for their kennels per se, right? Well, I didn't. I didn't have anything because I was a newbie. So I grew up on Wolf Creek in Giles County, Virginia, and I literally could walk out my front door across the yard and be in Wolf Creek. Spent a lot of time in that creek in my childhood, and I mean a lot. Every summer, me and my brother were in it from daylight till dark, it seemed like, fishing, wading, tubing, swimming, anything that you could do in that creek, we have done it. And Wolf Creek was already taken. Randy Jack had that on the front of his kennels. With that, I decided Creekside. I live on the creek. That's where I grew up, was on the creek. So Creekside Kennels is what it's going to be. So that's what Creekside means. But with the Chronicles, it comes a little bit more in depth. And I want to go over why. So I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. By making mistakes, I had to figure out things as I went. And after I committed to the canine industry, the law enforcement, and became a certified canine trainer, I realized that training doesn't always have to come from OJT. That's what we call it at work, on the job training, on the job, on the hunt training, right? And trial and error. There's better ways to learn, ways that save time, dogs. I've ruined a lot of dogs, and frustration. I just talked about frustration. That's why I wanted to share what I've learned. So you guys and gals don't have to go through a lot of the mistakes and the hard times that I went through. A lot of it was because I was very hard-headed. I wanted to do things my way, and a lot of times my way was not even close to being a way. Remember we talk about a way and the way? Nothing I tell you is the way. It's always a way, because there's a lot of different ways to do things, and a lot of different methods, different training styles, different behaviors. So it's kind of like a buffet. You've heard me talk about it before. You pick and choose what you like, what works for your skill level, for your handling methods, or your hunting style, and you put that into application. So that's why I wanted to call it Creekside Chronicles, because this is just having conversations about dogs, about hunting, and about life. And hopefully along the way, some of the struggles that I have went through and I still go through, we're going to talk about those over the next couple of episodes. That, we're all human. When you're hunting dogs, there's nothing perfect. There's always something going on. So this conversation has come up numerous times during season, the winter season. Forrest and I were walking away from a tree back early season, maybe the first week, maybe been the second week, and we were talking about packing dogs. And then myself and Doug DeVost, a friend of mine, we had the same conversation but in a different style, about a different thing. So this episode is going to be about packing dogs, the art of packing dogs. And again, just to lay this out there, this is just my experience. It's a little bit about dog behavior, which will help you with your training. If you like it, use it. If you don't. But I will tell you, this is going to save you some headache if you put a little thought into the process of packing dogs. So, let's get it going. All right, so back during training season, I told you that I had found a track that my dogs didn't rig. It was in a sandy spot in the road. I put a couple dogs down, and I've got two dogs that are a little bit more mouthy than I care for. Like, they open more than I care for. So I had one of those dogs down, and she went down off the road, and she was opening quite a bit. But it was from excitement, not from the track itself. But because of that excitement, it led me to believe in that moment that she was opening on the track and the dogs were going to go out there with it. So I turned a couple more dogs loose. Long story short, I overpacked. I put too many dogs on a track that they were not ready to take. So after I caught up the dogs, I ended up having two dogs on it, and I had to let them work it out. And they worked it out. Took them a while. I mean, it took them, they trailed for a good while, and finally got it jumped, run out of hearing, down through some different country. Time we got around, they turned and come back in the same country, but they were 1.5 miles from us. We could hear them, but packing dogs was not an option at that point. So what I did is I just let them do their thing, and they ended up treeing it. We walked in, had to bear it. It was a really good feeling to know that those two dogs was able to work that out, and ended up putting an end to that. So it was great. So I overpacked. So third week of the season, I walked back into some country. I've got a couple dogs loose, and they struck, and they started trailing up the mountain, and I ended up putting a couple extra dogs with them, not because of what happened on the last one, but because it was the terrain. I knew that if I didn't get those dogs in, that they weren't going to be there. I wasn't going to have an opportunity to do it. So I took a chance and I put a couple extra dogs in. Well, guess what? That didn't work out. It didn't work out in my favor. So when it comes to packing tracks, Sometimes it's better just to let a couple dogs work, and we all know this. It's just having the self-control and the discipline to do it. And even me, who know better, and I'm weighing my options and I'm taking some risks with those chances that I'm doing, that's 2 times. Well, the first time it worked out because I ended up catching them up. The second time, all the dogs got over, and the guys that I was hunting with ended up having to catch half of them. I got a couple of them back and went on and went hunting. But it didn't work out because I put too many dogs down. One was because of terrain, and one was because of one dog being overly excited. So that kind of wraps up the track packing. Now let's talk about packing a jumped bear. Man, sometimes this makes me scratch my head and smile, and I shake my head. I probably kicked rocks down the road a few times because, wow, it happens. So let's just go over a couple of them. All right. So the ultimate sin. Listen, guys, the ultimate sin in packing a dog is face packing. Yes, I said it. Face packing. So the bear's coming at you, or the dogs are coming at you, and you can't contain your excitement, and your dogs are starting to bubble in the truck, and they're starting to whimper and whine, or you have a full-blown explosion in the truck because they can hear the dogs, which, by the way, is one of my pet peeves. I cannot stand the dogs barking in the truck, and my box is set up where I can control that. But anyway, dogs are coming at you. You grab some dogs, or you decide just to dump the tailgate and send them to them. So let's think about this like logistically. All right, we all know through experience, trial and error, and most of it's going to be a failure, that if those dogs leave out of there wide open, barking, excited, going towards the pack, that more so than not, so the majority of the time, those dogs are going to blow right past the oncoming traffic and they're going to hit the backtrack. That's what's going to happen. And we know this. Like, we know because we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. We get so mad and frustrated. We catch the dogs up and you're like, I'm not doing that again. And then what happens? Next race coming at you, boom. Here we are, dumping the tailgate, putting it to them. But what I have learned through many, many, many failures is that if I've got a dog that will keep its mouth shut and not bark going all the way to there, and most of the time if you start turning multiple dogs loose, you're going to get that barking, whether you like it or not. I can usually send one dog and get them in right. Or now if the bear is walking and not running, that's a little bit different story. In fact, I actually did this during one of our hunts. The bear was on the ground. I sent 2 dogs together that I know do not say a word until they get there. But again, that's knowing my dogs. That's knowing my pack. That's knowing what pieces fit together when. And I sent them. They got there. As soon as they started opening, bam, I sent the 2 mouthy dogs, and they filtered right in and got there where they should have been. But the mouthy dogs did not mess up my front 2 dogs because I held them. I knew that if I turned them loose, that this is the problem that's going to cause. So I held those 2 for the last. And when I turned those 2 loose, I did not turn them loose together. I sent one, held the other, and once that one got there, I sent the other. So I was a little bit more strategic in how and when I sent the dogs. So that was a face pack. Face packs most of the time do not end up in your favor, and we know this. So do what you want with it. I'm just saying that your chances of being successful or getting the dogs in the right place is extremely difficult with a full-on face pack. All right. Let's talk about a T-bone. Anybody got any T-boners? So let me lay this out here for you so you understand what I'm talking about. T-bone. So the dogs are running parallel to you, okay? So Just imagine yourself standing in a road, looking over the ridge. The dogs aren't coming at you. They're either coming from the left to the right or the right to the left. So they're going to cross, they're going to T-bone you, intersection, right? So I have found this year especially that I have 2 dogs in particularly that if I send them in a T-bone, they're going to go backwards every time. They have not failed. And it took me to later on in the season to realize that I've got to wait till those dogs get past me and the dogs actually have a target acquired a target, which means they hear the dogs going one direction. It's not just down the holler or whatever. I need to let them get past me, and then I have to send them in that direction. I was only able to do that one time as I figured out how to solve this problem. Okay? So I don't know if I've got it worked out or not, but I can promise you that if I send these 2 dogs into a T-bone, they are going to go backwards. I don't like it. It's not something that I'm okay with. But for these 2 dogs, I understand their behavior, and I'm trying to cautiously and strategically work it out where I can control it. Now, if I tone one of the dogs that goes backwards, I can get them turned around and headed in the right direction. But it's still aggravating to have to do that. Like, man, the dogs just run right by you. Hitch a ride, man. Let's go. Get at the bus stop and get in with them. Let's go. The other one is not so easy. They're a little bit more, I don't want to say independent, but they're a little bit more stubborn, to say the least. So the T-bone and stuff is difficult. You can work it out, but you got to I have to be cautious about how I do it. All right. What about the faithful follow-up? Well, what does that mean? The follow-up. So the dogs are coming at me, and they're either going to cross a road or cross a path or cross a ridge right in front of me. Am I going to pack my dogs if I see the bear, or am I going to pack my dogs in front of them, or am I going to let them cross and pack my dogs behind them? Well, I think it depends a lot on timing, distance, dogs. So I prefer to wait until the dogs cross. So here's why I like to wait. Because I know that I have a couple of dogs that if you pack dogs in front of them, a lot of times they get behind or they don't particularly want to make that race. If I pack dogs right with them or right behind them, everything is good. So, again, it's knowing your dogs. Now, we can say, well, if they get behind, they don't want to go anyway. No, it's not necessarily the case. You've went from them running complete bear odor, okay, they're up front, they're running, and now I've just dumped, let's just say I dumped a box. I just dumped 4 dogs in front of them. Well, we talked about odor when we did the odor podcast here a couple weeks ago. You've just dumped 4 dogs down. Every time when those dogs run and move, they're stirring up the odor. They're changing the scent picture. And sometimes that's harder for dogs to pick through. Now, if I've got dogs that run dog tracks, think about it, I don't have a problem. They're going to go on, they're going to follow those dogs, and they're going to go right along. But 2 of my dogs don't like to run dog tracks. They want to run the bear odor, and that's how I want mine. So I understand the behavior that I'm getting from the action that is caused. So it's just food for thought there. It's just, I like to wait till it's crossed. Now, if my dogs are 400 yards behind and the bear crosses the road, chances are they may not catch that bear. So I may put a dog or 2 down in front of them. But again, it's going to be the season, how far they've ran, how far are they behind. It's going to be all those factors. It's going to help me make a decision on what's best for what's going on at that actual minute or moment that we're chasing the bear. So that's just something to think about. Like, do I want to put them down in front? And if I do, does it really mess up? Does it mess up the dogs from the behind? And if it does mess them up, what's causing the problem? We always ask why. Like, what is the why? What happened here? Why did it happen? So, I personally prefer mine to cross. What about packing dogs to trees? This is what actual conversation that Forrest and I had. Guys, each to their own. Everybody does things a little different. You will not catch me packing one of my dogs to a tree. 2 reasons. What good is it to put them to a tree? They're not learning anything. It's not helping. It's basically giving them a reward for doing absolutely no work at all. And I don't believe in that. Now, have I taken a couple puppies in that have never seen a bear? Yeah, absolutely. I'll walk them in. We had this conversation. We've had this on a podcast. I try to hit the track that they went into the tree on and walk the track in. Sometimes that's not feasible, but most of the time that's what I try to do, and give them some sense of purpose. I'll take them in. You'll always see me tie them up, and I tie them back. I don't tie them right up front or whatever. I tie them back, and I let them process the scene. What's going on? Like, all these dogs are barking excited. Like, hey, what's going on here? I may send an I may send a dog or two if there's only a dog or two in there and they can't keep it up. It keeps coming out. I may send a dog or two and help you. I will do that. But as far as the rest of it, packing a dog to a tree accomplishes nothing. In fact, it actually sends a message to your hound that I don't really have to do anything. I'm going to get to participate in the party anyway. And we all know that there are no shortcuts in training. If you do that, a lot of times you're just causing more problems than it's worth. And I mean, honestly, like, do we really need to be packing a 4 and 5 and a 6-year-old dog to a tree? Like, what would be the purpose of that? So that's just my thoughts. Seen a lot of things go on this season about packing, and I think that it's probably one of the hardest things because our emotions get attached to it. I mean, that bear's coming off the ridge, the hounds are welling, here they come, and we get excited, the dogs are excited, and we cut them loose, and then 2 minutes later we're kicking rocks or mumbling under our breath something that we probably shouldn't be saying because we made a bad decision, or we knew this was going to happen. In my case, I know what's going to happen, and I do it anyway. And I know better. Like, I know better. I shouldn't be doing that, right? I don't need to be doing that. I mean, I have a lot of years of experience. I know some of the consequences of my actions. Like, I talk to myself a lot, and I do it anyway because of the excitement, because you get caught up in the moment. So anyway, packing was a huge conversation during the month of December here, and I just kind of hit the highlights. Face packing, usually not going to work out in your favor. If you're T-boning them, make sure you know your dogs and what's going to happen. And if they do go backwards, how can you correct it, or how can I correct it before it happens and do the things that I need to do? And the follow up, yeah, I mean, everybody does a little different, but for me, preferably, I'm going to put them in right behind your dogs. And most of the time, the guys that I'm running with, I mean, the dogs aren't too far behind. I mean, if that bear's got a pretty good jump on them, probably not going to catch it anyway. So it just depends. That's going to wrap up this episode of Creekside Chronicles. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Whether you're in the truck, in the woods, or Creekside listening along, thank you for walking this trail with us. And thank you to W Supply for hosting the podcast and supporting what we do. Be sure to check them out and go to wsupply.com for all your hound needs. Until next time, keep your dogs fed right, your boots muddy, and we'll see you down the trail.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean. Dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel and miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got states we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York frost, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Gas station coffee, Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow. Under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and it sets on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care. We're built for the road and chasing bear. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there. Chasing daylight, chasing them bears.